we now have an almost complete sheet of 45 articles. Now let's look at some of the data before we create the contextual paragraph. So we've got the FAQs, which will be at the end of the post, product 1 and product 2 for reference, about product 1, which is a short product description, same, about product 2. Then I've probably done this a bit backwards because I've made a table for things that are the same or similar between the models. It may have been better to just make a table stating their specs or their differences rather than doing what's the same about them, what's different. And it would have been a table that would go underneath the differences, the key differences. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll probably adjust that for another batch to see how that goes. But I'm going to keep it here for now. Different again. I told it to start the paragraph with the main difference between. And again, naturally, it's put the keywords in bold tags. And then it's gone on to analyze the research data and write what the main differences are between them. I can see a broken BR tag here. So it's gone on to talk about their specs and the differences between the models, and it's done that for all of them. So you can guide it, you can tell it to keep things consistent. And the way I did that was saying, start the paragraph with the main difference between product 1 and product 2. So very simple, just to give it some more structure. And then we've got product 1 is better for, and then product 2 is better for. The only thing with this is, again, it's similar to me not having a data set for the product. So when I had to write about, I had to tell it to focus on product 1. I've done the same sort of thing to describe who product 1 is better for, but it has the research data as its data point. So naturally, you may see it still mentions the other laptop. So it's still making a comparison, but hopefully focusing on the first one that you've told it to. So product 1, and then this one based on the research data. We don't necessarily want it to say that, but it's not a bad thing. I would prefer to say based on my research, but based on the research data, the product 2 would best suit professionals who require intelligence performance laptop and blah, blah, blah. And then we've got product 1 month, which is a first person review after a month of usage. So you can get creative with these sorts of ideas. I just wanted to show you what is possible. I've spoken to many people who've said writing in first person has improved their product review quality and rankings. Of course, if you are reviewing items, you should really have first-hand experience. So again, I'm just putting the idea out there. You can play around with telling the AI to write from a first-person perspective. Again, play around with it. You can say, after a week of usage, after a month, after my first year, this is what I've discovered. And of course, we are using the review data that we've scraped. You're taking other people's first-hand experience and you're coming up with your own creative first-hand experience from it. So the hope is that it is useful and it's from multiple people's perspective, and the AI is able to create an unbiased first-person review about experience after a month of use. That's the hope. I've added this to say, do not make it too salesy, be natural and honest. Because again, the AI does try and be everybody's friend and say positive things about everything, which is not what you want. You want it to, if somebody said something bad about the battery life, you want it to mention that. That's where the first person perspective and the scraped reviews work very well together. Again, same thing for product 2. Don't be biased. I didn't say don't be biased. I just said don't make it too salesy. We're not trying to sell. We're just trying to analyze the reviews and again, come up with a natural an honest summary of people's experiences, but from our perspective. And then we move on to the internal links. So as you know from the first video, I've made the internal links from the Ahrefs, and they are just the following posts. So everything will have a link. And here they are in the sheet. So we now have to generate the contextual paragraph. And again, the contextual paragraph is going to glue these internal links together. So we're going to generate and assess the quality of them. Let's just do one to see how it goes and see if we need to tweak anything. We can just select the first one and generate selected. And then if everything's good, if it's a good paragraph, then I'll generate all of them, and then we'll start to put the template together. Okay, if the Dell Precision 5570 and the Dell Latitude 9430 don't seem like the perfect fit, rest assured I've got you covered in my other post where I delve into comparisons between similar products. For instance, check how the looks good Dell XPS 13315 Intel fares against the Dell Inspiron 153525. So this is the anchor text. It's not the anchor text I've given it, but this is the correct link. So that's fine. You might also be interested in my detailed comparison between, again, anchor text. That's fine. Again, you don't want to have too much of the same anchor text in any case. So it would all of the anchor text would be Dell XPS 139315 versus. So it's good that it understands to keep the link structure the same, correct, and to make the sentence work contextually, which is what it's been told to do, it will change the anchor text, which is absolutely fine. So yeah, so that looks good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And this would be just below the FAQ section. So we have natural internal links, effortless internal links. Of course, this only works if you have a cluster, because otherwise it would be linking and trying to contextual link between 4 posts that have no business linking together. So that's where planning your site structure or planning your topical map really comes into play. See here, we've got Dell XPS versus, so that's the anchor text given. And it will do its own thing. It will come up with the best ways to make it work within the sentence without being too forced and juggling between middle tier and high tier performance laptops. See, it completely understands what it needs to do, and it does a very good job. So what I'm hoping to do in future, seeing how well this works, is if we can use the main keyword and pull from the database the best links or the best posts to link to, like other tools do. There are web apps that do this. If we can do that within the sheet and get it to just make the contextual paragraph by pulling from the database, it takes out the step of making the Ahref, doing the click and drag internal links, and then the final step of putting it all together. We could completely skip that out. So it will be something I'm looking to do as I move over to focusing on the SEO and the on-page SEO features of the plugin. But this is what's been working for me very well with my newest case study, my recipe site. And this is something I definitely recommend trying out. Right, so while the contextual links finish doing, I think there's maybe about 25 more to do, we are going to move over to the template. And as I've said many times now, the template is probably the most important part of this process. And technically, you should start with the end in mind and actually have an idea of how your content is going to be laid out before you even start adding variables and sections. Otherwise, you won't know how you're going to glue it together, because you could just be generating sections or repeating data, and then you have no idea how you're going to put it together in a post. So this is something that you have to learn when it comes to making these multi-level posts, because they are completely different to writing a single prompt and telling AI to write your article. These have to be very well engineered. And the template allows you to scale with endless keywords of the same magnitude. As I've mentioned, with product comparisons, you're taking one product and comparing it to another. And so it doesn't really matter what the product is, the template and how you prompt your variables is going to work for everything. I could take this exact same approach and do pet food, lawnmowers, DIY tools. I can do anything with this layout. And as you go, you're going to start to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what you can tweak, and of course, scale this across multiple sites. To start editing the template, you're going to come over to First Draft and click this menu icon. And this was the template I used for prompts. It's very simple: introduction, space, examples, space, and additional tips. And that was the first draft. All of your templates are stored in this section here. I'm going to make a new template, but I'm going to take this one because it's got spaces and things I know I'm going to use. I'm going to name it Product Comparison. Again, if you've used WP All Import, you're familiar with all of this template stuff, but if you're not, just bear with me. I'm going to go through everything. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I'm going to write a very basic introduction. Today, I am comparing two very powerful laptops to help you decide which is best for you. I could do two very powerful laptops, the product 1 and the product 2. Hopefully after reading this, you will be able to decide which is best for you. So something as simple as that has product 1, product 2. This is the essence of programmatic SEO in these two sentences. This is what most of the blog posts would look like without the help of AI, because you're trying to find as many instances where you can place variables so the content is not duplicate or is not too similar. I've had programmatic SEO posts where 80% of the article is the same because I've just swapped out words. So having the AI allows you to just completely switch everything up. But it's still good to have elements where it's just simple, you know what you're getting, and you don't have to worry about AI changing anything, especially if you've already planned to optimize the post with the way that you've worded everything. Keeping it simple, I will bold these because that's just something I do. So whatever text is in the variable, the HTML elements are going to apply. So it's the same thing with these. Both of those products are going to be bolded. We've got the spacer. Okay, so we can actually just look at the variables down here as a reminder of what we have to help us start to lay this out. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to just show the products up front. Here is where these shortcode product boxes really shine. And if you had scraped the ASINs from the beginning, then you could do something like this. If you wanted this table to show up, but just for the two products, you would take this and you place it here up front, and you take one away because you only want to show the two products. And again, let's pretend this is the first laptop and the second laptop. Simply putting this shortcode here, you'd have the two products right at the top of your post. You could take the rank off. The rank is just when you've rated, this is your favorite, this is a runner-up, whichever icons you select, it would put them in order. So you customize your boxes on the back end in your site, of course, but you can choose your shortcodes here, and whichever ones you choose are going to show up on your post. So I'm going to use the standard box because I'm not using the ASIN, I'm using the keyword. And I don't want it to show me multiple ones of the same one. I'm going to do review. So template equals review. So this is by far my favorite part about templating product reviews or product comparisons and AI shortcodes. Because look at this. We are not going to do a count. We're just doing the, let's say, grid. It's just a single product, but we're going to say grid. And you don't have to put a keyword because you can just put product 1. And that's the keyword. So you don't have to do this for every single product. You just do it once, or twice, because product 1, product 2. And you're going to have boxes with that keyword. So the Amazon product for that keyword is going to show up in that box. Job done. The simplest method of creating product comparisons or product review posts at scale. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this H2 and I'm going to do at a glance, and it's just going to show the 2 products. You can get very creative with this, have fun with it, do whatever you want to do. So I'm doing at a glance and we've got product 1, product 2. I might just put same in here and not any context. I might just put that table there. Providing the table is intact, it should look good. And then we're going to say about product 1. And we don't need this. We're going to say about product 1. And we're going to put about 1. And then we're going to do about product 2 and about 2. So hopefully you're starting to see exactly what's going on here. Use break tags to separate everything. If you don't want to use a break tag, use a spacer. Sometimes I find that if there is a HTML issue within the variable before the break tag, it will merge it with the break tag, which you don't want. Of course, if there's broken HTML, it's going to join itself onto other HTML. So even if it's just a small space, it's better because it breaks everything up. So I'm going to use spaces instead of breaks here. And so we've got at a glance, it's the 2 products with a comparison table, hopefully, space, and then about product 1. You also have the opportunity now to put the box again, which might be overkill because there's already a box at the at a glance, but we're going to do it just for demonstration purposes. And we're going to do the same for the second one. There are other AI boxes, so you could have one that has both product 1, product 2, or ASIN 1, ASIN 2, and that way you'd have a completely different type of box, and then you'd have the individual boxes, because in this case we're doing the same box. That's somewhere you might want to switch things up. But again, this is a demonstration, I just want to show you what's possible. And the next thing we do is the differences. So key differences between product 1 and product 2. And then we're going to put different. And what else do we have? Who the product 1 would best suit or is best for, or who should buy the product 1? Who buy the, and you've got to decide whether the makes sense depending on the product. So in my case, it's a brand and a model number. So the Dell, it wouldn't be who should buy Dell, be who should buy the Dell or the MacBook and so on. So you have to think about those things if you're doing this at scale. So who should buy the product 1? And then we need to put product 1 better for? I'm going to duplicate this. Who should buy the product 2 and product 2 better for? And grab a spacer, which we need to put here too. I can see how intimidating this would look to a beginner, but hopefully I'm going through it enough so you can ignore the lines, exclamation marks, and dashes, and see between the lines, exclamation marks and dashes. Who should buy product 1? Space, who should buy product 2? And then after that, we're going to move straight on to product 1 month, product 2 month. My thoughts on product 1 after 1 month of use. Again, be creative with this stuff. Think outside the box. Think outside the box, and the possibilities are endless. My thoughts on product 1 after 1 month of use. Product 1 month. My thoughts on product 2 after 1 month of use. Product 2 month. That's it. That's the post. That is the post, I believe. We are going to now add FAQs. I'm leaving this at the bottom. This is my bulk publishing plug. And that's another thing. So if you make reusable blocks with any content that you like, if you've got images, internal links, anything, your affiliate links, you can put your reusable blocks in here and it's going to show up just fine. So you really can do anything. Between HTML shortcodes and reusable blocks, you should really be crafting some unique and competitive blog posts. So as I said, we're going to do main keyword FAQs. Hopefully it makes sense. Buyer FAQs. Just to switch it up a bit. And we're going to throw those FAQs in. Remember, the FAQs are just H3, question, and then answer. And there are 4 of them. So if you do want to put them in schema, you have to go and do that on the front end. So we've got FAQs, and then the last thing we're going to do is the contextual paragraph, and that doesn't need any introduction or any heading. We're just going to throw it in after this 30px spacer, contextual, and then my block, maybe a BR. And then my image. I'm going to save this and hope I've done everything correctly. Looks good. One thing I noticed is I've not done anything for the first draft prompt. So we can just do a buyer's guide. So write a listicle of, let's just go with 7 tips. 7 tips. A buyer's guide listicle of 7 tips. This is just going to be generic. I'm not going to link it to a main keyword, but I think I will use these secondary keywords. Yeah. So write a buyer's guide style listicle of 7 tips for buying a laptop online. Again, if your list of product comparisons are not laptops, be wary of the wording that you choose. You could just make it so you do write a buyer's guide style listicle of 7 tips for buying main keyword, or you could have a column with category for the product types, and then you just use the category variable and say laptops, speakers, whichever it is, online, or whatever it is that you're doing. It's completely up to you. These are just ideas. I'm telling it to include secondary keywords. Of course, if these keywords were data-driven, you'd want to include those throughout your post anyway. So this is something I do with my secondary keywords. Include these secondary keywords or additional keywords throughout the post contextually, and then it's going to list those. So naturally, it's going to mention the brands and stuff, but that should be fine. I'm going to save that. But now I need to go back to the template and make some space for this. And I'm going to make a new H2 now. So this is going to be a long article. Buyer's Guide for Buying Online. Read this. Need help buying online? I don't know. Need help buying online? Read this. Be creative. And first draw. Think that is it. Save and double check. That's a solid template. So providing these fields have no issues with them and there's no broken HTML, it's going to be perfect. And that's what we're banking on. The moment of truth. Generate selected. Moment of truth. Let's go straight to preview. Whoops. It's got multiple products. We don't want that. We just want the one. So I've done the wrong box, but that's fine. Let's go back. And I'll just do it in this one because luckily this is why you only do one. So I'm just going to change the template to, let's see if I can do review. All we need to do is add this. So count. Review. I'm going to put count 1 and that should just show the one box. Do the same here, but the table looks like it showed up. And it's not done the same. It's clearly a table of differences, which is better because I made a mistake. I shouldn't have been doing a box for things that are similar. I can see it's done this. Please note dash indicates where the research data did not provide information for that particular feature for the laptop. Not the best thing. You don't want it to include something like that. But again, it's not the worst if it did show up. It's just saying that in our research, this wasn't there. But yeah, probably don't want that. Okay, so I've updated the count. So precision, review, and count 1. They do show up as a classic editor initially, and then you would just switch everything to, if you want to. I mean, it's mostly formatted, so you don't really need to do anything. It's still there. But let me save draft and see if adding count is the fix I was after. Yeah, okay. I'm going to add the featured image here. Save draft. And I'm hoping I have the rank math shortcode installed. If not, I've got to go and add that so 2023 shows up. I don't, so I need to add that. Featured image is now there. So there we have it. Featured image. Today I'm comparing 2 powerful laptops. Dell Precision at a glance. There's the Dell Precision. You can turn off the prices if you don't want to show it. You just want to show the name of the site or view price or check price. All of that stuff is customizable in the back end. And we've got our table, and then we've got about product 1, and for some reason the text format has changed. And there's no spacer, I think, or maybe just a BR tag. And then about product 2, text. For some reason it's smaller than it's supposed to be. Key difference between product 1 and product 2. You'd want to include some images here. Text formatting has changed again, so I'll need to change it in my CSS to ensure that the body text remains consistent regardless of whatever it's trying to do here. Who should buy the Precision, the Dell Precision? And there's that. Who should buy the other one? There's that. My thoughts on after a month of usage. and then it's broken it down by power and performance, memory and storage, quality and visual features, ease of use and experience, battery life. And of course, this data comes from the reviews on Amazon. So this is really good that it's analyzed it, it's chunked it into very specific headings. And it's done the same because I told it to separate them by H3, so to name the section and then write about it. And it says, after a month into using my Latitude, I found myself pretty impressed by the device, and so on. Look and feel, 2-in-1 advantage, sustainability at its best. This is probably my favorite part. Using the reviews to do this is my favorite part of these types of posts. And then we've got the buyer FAQs. Kind of repeats itself, but that's up to you. You can tweak how you get it to do the FAQs. But yeah, so it says, what are the key differences? Which laptop is better for graphic design editing? Which laptop offers better storage? And of course, it keeps these names in there. So if there is a snippet to be gained, you would get it for those questions. So if somebody said, which has better battery life, then that's going to show up. How does the screen quality of Dell Latitude compare? So those are the FAQs, and then we have the contextual paragraph, which is my second favorite thing. We may want to put like probably a block, like a separator or something, and I never put a spacer before the first draft. These are things I know I need to go and add to the template before I generate the rest of them. But once I've added this spacer and a separator and a spacer here, I can hit generate on the remaining 44 articles. This is what I mean when I say crafting your template is very important. It's the most powerful part of this process. And once you've done that, you can scale to an unbelievable amount of content if that is your plan. So again, contextual paragraph, internal links added, 4 internal links. And then this is the first draft. So this is the buyer's guide. So need help buying online, read this. So just some additional text really. Identify your needs. And then before diving into specific models and then it mentions them because I had them in the secondary keywords, even though I didn't mention the main keyword. It's looked at the secondary keywords and it's tried to incorporate them into the buyer's guide. It's added H3s underneath the main H2. This is the main body of the text. This is my reusable block to purchase the bulk publishing WordPress plugin. The last thing I'm going to show you before I conclude this masterclass or mini course is editing the post with the front end editor. So the front end editor allows you to take this whole section of text and edit it with a prompt, or convert your classic block to a normal block and edit the specific section. So let me convert that to blocks. Once you convert it to blocks, you won't be editing the whole section, you'll be editing these individual sections. To give an example, I'm going to get it to reword and rephrase this with a prompt. It's going to take this paragraph and it's going to ameliorate it, even though I think it's pretty straightforward. It's nice and short. It has the specs, but I'm going to tell it to rewrite this. This is the old prompt. It keeps the prompt that you used last. So I want to leave the bold key phrases part. I'm going to say rephrase this and improve. I don't know. It's perfect. I don't need to do it, but I do want to demonstrate how this works. Rephrase this and improve it, focusing on keeping a natural human tone. That's just my go-to thing. Hopefully it doesn't ruin it, but if it does, you can just Control Z and it should be fine. Front-end editor can save you a lot of time when you are in the front end editing. This is what it's done. I'm going to go back to show you what it had previously and forwards to you what it has now. Dell Latitude sets itself apart. I'm going to leave this. It looks good. Looks fine. So that's what the front end editor does. And you can get it to create tables. You can get it to reword, rephrase, make bullet points. You can do anything you can think of that you could do with a prompt, you can do in the front end with the text editor. That's it. I hope you've watched this from start to finish and you now have some ideas and some clarity on how you can create long form and quality content using AI and data scraping / programmatic SEO at scale on your blogs using the bulk publishing WordPress plugin. And I hope you now have some more insight on what's possible with AI. There are so many things you can do if you think outside the box. If you found this useful, please give it a like, drop a comment, reach out to me, let me know your thoughts, and I'll try and do some more demonstrations like this. Thanks for watching.